got it done. If you back them, you're celebrating. Football season may be over, but the action never stops.
Are you ready for some baseball?
At SportsGrid, we're always in the game. We bring you 24/7 betting insights, expert picks, and real-time analysis. Next big play is already in motion. Are you ready? It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pitch, the players, the hustlers, the people, the bust them, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Friday Night Freak Show has begun. We've got a full house on the program tonight. If you don't like college basketball, then this is probably not the show for you this evening, as it's a smorgasbord of college basketball tonight. But with that being stated, you know we like to dip our beaks in a little bit of everything. So we're going to be hitting college basketball, UFC Fight Night, NHL hockey in-game. We got a couple of games coming up still here this evening. We'll check in with the National Basketball Association. The Formula One is back. The Australian Grand Prix. AFL football is back. Mick Aussie is not back in the rotation just yet, as Mick Aussie is in the homeland right now, literally and figuratively. He's going to be going to a game, I think, like tonight or in the morning, whatever. I always get confused with the Australian time, and I'm already confused. Between the Grand Prix and, everything's in, like, Eastern time. So I'm like, all right, what time is it there? Then what time is it here? Like, I'm super confused, like, with the baseball game, too. I'm like, so what time is this effing game? Is it Monday morning, Tuesday? What exactly is this? Like, overnight. But nevertheless, we'll get you caught up to date. We've got picks for everything. All right, so let's get started. We got games going on right now, and anybody who's been paying attention to these college basketball tournaments, and I will say this, and I'll admit, unlike other people that don't admit they're wrong, I'm not wrong often, so I don't have to do it often, so I don't mind doing it. But all kidding aside, I've said these conference tournaments, like they don't really mean anything, but tell that to the players that are playing. I guess it's the same way. Like when people say, "Oh, the bowl games don't mean anything," I'm like, "Yeah, tell that to the players." You see the reaction of players when they win bowl games. But there was a time, right? And like the Dean Smith, Krzyzewski, Roy Williams, like a lot of the legendary coaches over the years, it wasn't about the conference tournament, right? And it's cool when it happens. Everyone's all fired up, but nobody remembers after. It's like, yeah, whatever. All right, they won the conference tournament, they got bounced in the second round. After. But the modern player, I always say, oh, players don't look ahead and they don't even know who they're playing tonight, let alone like playing in a couple of days and stuff like that. And I think it really is like it's so true, but it's a benefit for them in a way. Like, you know what I mean? A game's a game. You know what I mean? I know that they're thinking about like the tournament a little bit, but the tournament is more nostalgic, really. You know, the one shining. How many of these kids know one shining moment? Like, you know what I'm saying? Right? They want to get to the tournament. They want to make it to the NBA, but they're playing hard in this stuff. These conference tournaments have been damn good. Really good teams are like laying it on the line. And I got to tell you, if I was the coach of these teams, I wouldn't. I'd be playing like backups in the second half and stuff. I'd be like, whatever, we're getting out of here. Like, think about it. You want to play like the SEC and the Big Ten? You're going to play your championship game on Sunday, and you're going to go freaking hard from now all the way through to Sunday? You know, anyone watching these SEC games? It's like Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Duran in there. Like, I swear to God, SEC basketball. like, not only is it good, SEC basketball is good, but this SEC tournament, it's literally like MMA, like on wood, essentially. Like today, there was a point in the game where the kid on Texas was literally on the dude's back, and there was no foul. They're like, yeah, jump, possession arrow. Why do they have the possession arrow either? That's so stupid. Do a damn jump ball. Oh, we don't want to do a jump ball. It's like, well, you can have these kids fly around 3,000 miles for a conference game, but you can't do a jump ball. They say it would take too long. I don't really understand that. Same with like college football. Why is somebody down when they have one knee down? It used to be for safety purposes. It's like, whatever, dude. Like, what are we doing here? This college stuff's basically pro stuff right now. But nevertheless, I have a big gripe of that. Like, I could give like a 10 commandments. I got like 10 things that I don't like about college rules, that this and that doesn't make sense to me. But nevertheless, all right, so action going on right now. The Michigan Wolverines. Michigan stumbled down the stretch. Nobody believed in them. Michigan are a good tournament team. Speaking of conference tournaments, Michigan have, like, Beeline used to do his best work in this stuff, right? Like, every couple of years, Michigan step up and they go on a run in the Big Ten tournament. They've always been a good tournament type of team. Not always good in the NCAA, although they've been pretty good. But they're good in the Big Ten tournament. They always step up in these spots. And we know May is a good, quote-unquote, tournament coach. It's different, right? I know this is their first game, but when you're playing games and short prep and all that type of stuff, we already saw him take Florida Atlantic to the Final Four. So Michigan are up 40-36. They were getting 2.5 points. We're at the half right now. Michigan are minus 1.5. The in-game total is 157.5 as they got to 76 in the first. Expecting a track meet tonight in the SEC with Kentucky and Alabama. And so far it is, although it's still early. They played about 6.5 minutes and have already put up 31 points. In-game total is 183.5. That's right. 183.5. It sounds high. Sounds higher than Willie Nelson on the back of a tour bus, but it really isn't. Like, the total closed at like 178.5. Creighton up on UConn right now. About 4.5 left here in the first half. 35-28. The Blue Jays are now suddenly minus 135 on the money line. The Huskies are plus 105 on the money line. UC San Diego, the Tritons, they're a very trendy team, and rightfully so. They're the best team against the spread in college basketball this year. This is a good conference, though, and it's not going to be easy for San Diego, especially if they have Irvine waiting for them. We got Cal Poly Slow and Irvine coming up a little bit later on. Anybody that's tuned into the show nightly this week knows we've been riding Cal Poly Slow throughout the week. And I think this is the time that we get off the Cal Poly Slow train. We're stuck in traffic here. Cal Poly, they're going slow. We're stuck in traffic. We're getting out. It's like, we're getting out of the taxi. All kidding aside, once again, if you look at Cal Poly Slow, they're not a great team, but they're catching lightning in a bottle right now over the last, the last 5 days or whatever. And not really just the last 5 days, like let's say the last 2 weeks. Like their offense has really come alive lately. Like they're racking up a ton of points on a game-by-game basis, except there's a big step up in class tonight for them. So we'll hit that game. Texas Tech and Arizona. This is a good one. We got some good games and some big-time teams going head-to-head here. Texas Tech and Arizona in action. Red Raiders are leading 22-19 right now with 11 minutes in the first half. We're on Arizona in this game. What was it, like +2? So we're on Arizona. Or what was, there's so many games. What do I have Arizona at? No, I got Arizona money line. That's all right. It was a pick 'em. -115, Arizona. So we're on Arizona. They're down by 3. That's a tricky game, though. Like, it was just one of those toss-ups, but I went with my gut. If I had to say what I thought my best bet was tonight, Michigan was kind of a leap of faith. It wasn't just a fan play. I know Michigan are good in these tournaments. And another thing is, too, Michigan aren't as bad as they looked against Michigan State. Michigan State hate Michigan, okay? So it's one of those deals, and Michigan State are really good, and Izzo's not going to be around forever. Izzo wanted to get his pound of flesh and teach May a lesson in his first couple of meetings, and they did, but I think it toughened Michigan up a little bit. It humbled Michigan. But to me, coming into tonight, the game I went bigger on was Clemson. Clemson and Louisville, ACC. The winner get the Duke Blue Devils, an absolutely wild finish in the Duke, North Carolina game. And in fact, I've been watching sports a long time and college basketball a long time. I've never seen the game end the way that game did. Let's
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll this. It's SportsRage. I am Morency. All right, we got a full slate of college basketball games going on right now on the SportsGrid Radio and Television Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. We've got Lou Gamble, who's going to step up and join us this evening. We'll hit UFC Fight Night. We'll keep our eye on everything, but we got a bunch of college basketball going on. So the second half is started right now, and UC San Diego are a very trendy team, although Irvine are really good as well. This is going to be not going to be easy. A lot of people are talking about San Diego being a sleeper in the tournament. They've got to get there first. This conference is a lot better than it normally is. Santa Barbara are giving them all that they can handle. They're up 30-29 right now. The second half has started. There's 16 minutes left in the second half. Arizona and Texas Tech. You know this is going to be a close game all night. The total is incredibly high right now, 169.5. You don't see this in Texas Tech games very often, but it's 25-25 with 9 minutes left in the first half. Clemson and Louisville, 15-10 Clemson. They're off and running there. The Michigan Wolverines, Big Ten action. The winner gets the Maryland Terrapins. Michigan and Purdue. Michigan are up 4, second half coming up right now. 40-36 in-game total, 155.5. Mount St. Mary's up on Merrimack, 50-49 with 5.5 left. New Mexico up 25-21 on Boise State right now. And we got more games still to come. F1 is back in Australia. We've got UFC Fight Night. The Players' Championship continues as well. And we've got a couple of NHL games coming up here this evening. And I can't really pretend, although we've dropped the puck, actually. I didn't play these games, Cam. Nashville and Anaheim, I had zero interest in it. And Utah and Seattle. I figure if the Seattle Kraken want to black me out, I'll black them out. It's my own tariff boycott. Screw them. I'm not even going to bet on their game.
That's the best. No first period over 1.5. Here's the deal. I will take Utah live, Gabe. The plus 1.5 is minus 220. That's insane. So give me Utah plus 106 and work with Chicago plus 2.5. Good call by you with the first period over. We wrote it yesterday too. And Chicago plus 2.5 live came in. And my underdog of the night, Gabe, I will take the Anaheim Ducks plus 122 against Nashville. Despite Nashville's 4-game win streak, I did play that in basketball. Merrimack live money line, and I will take Louisville plus 5.5 in their game versus Clemson.
Yeah, I'm on Clemson money line, but most of these games have been super close and come down to the wire. Yeah, I just couldn't get myself to click, and I've been clicking a lot over the last couple of days. Although I got a smaller card tonight. There's it's not that many games going on right now, but these hockey games, Seattle and Utah, it is a big game for Utah. Nashville and Anaheim is the definition of just like a meaningless game. But like Cam said, yeah, well, it's just, two teams, whatever. It's a game, right? Like if there was nothing else going on, I would bet it. But there's all this college basketball going on. So I can't pretend like, I'm like, And I don't care about the quality, I should say. I just didn't see any angles. Like you said, the angle to me would be the Nashville Predators, bro. But I'm not laying minus 155 on the road with the Nashville Predators.
That's kind of my opposite angle. Like,
and I think the Ducks could win, but I don't trust the Ducks. I think Nashville are going to win, but I'm not laying the price. And Utah and Seattle, bro, such a toss-up, bro. Like,
these games are tough. The Sports Rage should be sponsored by Trust. Like, Pee-wee's Playhouse, where they had the word of the day with the balloons coming down with Tony Finn. And who was yesterday?
Sports Mistrust. It's Mistrust.
Yeah, Sports Mistrust. Well, who's it yesterday, too?
It's like, I got mad in the playoffs last year. I don't trust the Dodgers. And it's Higgs and Malinsky. I'm like, they just won the World Series. Like,
Higgs last night. It's like, I don't trust these teams and stuff. And Tony, I don't trust the Dodgers. It's like, get off Trust, okay? Like, we're fine.
I'm right. I said, well, they're up 3-1 in the World Series, so you're a little late in trusting them right now. You kind of missed this.
I just love these guys with their trust.
Yeah, but there's a big difference in not trusting the LA Dodgers and the Anaheim Ducks.
Yes, big difference. Big difference. But I will take the Ducks at home. Gabe, the thing is, Nashville, those teams that ride in hot with that four-game streak in the books, basically you talk about we play numbers, and Nashville, if they weren't that hot, they'd be like minus 120, and now they're getting minus 155 because they're a hot hockey team. Who cares? They're not going to the playoffs. I'll take my chances with the Ducks. It's a game on the board, but I think we're getting a good number on the pooch.
Tomorrow, it's Saturday. We got a full slate. The Vancouver Canucks are hosting the Chicago Blackhawks tomorrow night, and I've told myself this is the game I'm going to go to. It's an opportunity. They play on a Saturday. They're actually playing Sunday, too. They play Saturday and Sunday at home. They host Utah on Sunday. So this is a big 2-game swing for the Canucks. I think I'm going to go to the game tomorrow night. The Canucks are minus 240 favorites.
Wow.
Connor Bedard was hurt last year. When Connor Bedard was hurt last year, he didn't play in his big homecoming game. But from what I recall, unless I'm crazy, I think the Blackhawks already played this year. I think Bedard did already have his debut here this year. I think the Canucks won. But looking ahead for tomorrow, the Canucks coming off that really, really, gutsy win at Calgary the other night. That was on Wednesday. Now they've had like 2 days off, the Thursday and Friday. That was Quinn Hughes' first game back. He's going to be, I think he'll just get better and get used to to playing again. And the Canucks are it's a big time spot, but it's a perfect storm tomorrow. I don't like laying a goal and a half, but I would expect tomorrow, Cam, the Canucks are going to roll the Blackhawks tomorrow night. I think they'll win like 4-0 or 4-1 or something like that.
I think, and to your point, you don't, like, puck lines can be difficult. Sometimes you're waiting for that empty net goal. But I will say that Vancouver win can galvanize their season. That was a huge win against Calgary, as we talked about. And another thing is, you have to take care of business against lesser light teams, and they understand that. Every point matters right now. Yeah, Gabe, you can put them in a parlay piece, but I expect the Canucks to win that game. I think it actually might be more goals than expected. I see Vancouver maybe putting up 4 or 5 and Chicago like with 2 or 3. I think it's being a high-scoring affair.
And a big game tomorrow, actually, the Battle of Ontario, as the Ottawa Senators, I guess they're probably the hottest team in the NHL. I don't think anyone else has a 6-game win streak going right now like they do. Their fans are fired up. They were chanting, "We want the playoffs" the other night. Instead of, I like Ottawa's expectations. You always hear these jackass fans in cities, "We want the cup. We want the cup.
You want
Ottawa,
the postseason.
We want the playoffs. We want playoffs.
Play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, "I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else." Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. All right, he's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. He goes, "Listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman at third."
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and sort of working things out, but I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail. But I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some, Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Papi's career, he moved off first base, he went to DH. And Big Papi was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise when they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. We've got a couple of schools represented here this evening. We know that our main man, Tony Finn, actually went to Arizona State, which, as I stated in the past, explains a lot about Tony Finn.
Kegger! Let's go!
It explains a lot. Now let's bring in someone from a more dignified university of Arizona. Lou Gamblu in the house. What's up, Lou?
Hey, baby, anytime we can give a little dig to the devil, we'll do it. That said, at the end of the day now, there is no more pack or whack or any of that. What is it anymore? I don't
You don't even know what conference you're in. I'm like, I don't know. It's a Big 12, I guess. Yeah, Arizona's in a Big 12 now. It's like, what?
Crazy.
I don't even get it.
Stanford and Cal are playing in the ACC, Lou. Like, well, it is whatever. And not to get off topic, but how about this? Northern Illinois just joined the Mountain West, Lou. Like, that makes sense.
That is the dumbest thing, I think.
So Northern Illinois going to be taking on the San Jose State Spartans.
So Northern Illinois goes from the MAC to that. Like, what? Who's doing? Like, what are we doing here? Like, what's going on?
You guys even have enough money to fly back and forth to California and stuff like that? Like, you guys know what you're getting yourself into?
The Huskies, yeah.
Well, I think with this nil and this money, I think what we're getting is we're getting groups or pods of and levels of schools that have certain levels of money that they can afford to spend. I mean, Northern Illinois has got a football program, but they're not going to spend what the SEC is going to spend. So I suppose everybody's kind of figuring out where they filter out. I'm so glad to not handicap out college sports. I can't even believe it with this NIL.
Last thing about Arizona State, this past year in the NFL, you know, they have the slime game, and you know they do different type of marketing now. Remember, they did a Simpsons game this year, so they had like the game. They had the Simpsons characters. You know, they were the ones playing the game. It was pretty funny and pretty cool. But you'll like this, Lou. They did like the characters introduce themselves and like what school they went to. It's like, you know, Mo Khan, you know, University of Bartenders College, and you know, and they went through the school. And then they got to Krusty the Clown, and he's like, Krusty the Clown, Clown College, Arizona State University. They said after like, Krusty the Clown. He goes, I went to Clown College, and it popped up, Arizona State University.
It was the best joke. Clown College,
Arizona State.
I'm glad you enlightened me with that. I couldn't have made that up.
Oh, you got to look it up. It's just too good. Like it was unexpected. Krusty the Clown, Clown College, Arizona State University.
I love it.
I guess it's unfair though, because it's not that bad of a school. So at your expense, like you know, we're just having some fun.
It's a great school, and
yeah.
And actually being a real estate guy, it's important for metropolitan centers to have young universities and a level of intellect and college educated students and workforce that can go out into that community each year. And ASU is what feeds, as well to a lesser extent, Arizona. But
was that the ASU president on the phone calling saying, hey, what the hell are you guys doing here?
Hey, Lou,
my
the
wife
governor's
is
on the line. Yeah, I went to that school.
Don't mess with us, Wildcats. We know where you are, Lou.
They're calling me from the State College right now. But the bottom line is, being a U of A guy, ASU feeds Arizona and it feeds Phoenix. And without ASU, Phoenix wouldn't be what it is, and vice versa. They really feed and rely upon one another.
It's funny you say that. That's what I was going to say. I've been to downtown Phoenix. So, you know, you and I hooked up. It was a great time.
Yeah.
And then the other time at the Super Bowl, and I didn't see an Arizona jersey, a hat. It's ASU, like downtown Phoenix. And like I said, Lou, you got students living there. You got some campuses and stuff like that. Hey, downtown Phoenix is Arizona State turf. Like even at the airport, it was like I was like, wow. I didn't realize like Arizona State, like Arizona is like out there or something like that. It's for the elites, like Lou, the high class, right? Arizona State.
Well, no, Tucson is 2 hours. Tucson's a couple hours south.
Yeah.
Most of the ASU people call it the University of Polyester.
Polyester.
We're going to play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. He's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. He said, listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman at third.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and, sort of working things out. But I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail. But I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some, Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Papi's career, he moved off first base, he went to DH, and Big Papi was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise when they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Morency. The Michigan Wolverines now up 54-45. They're up 9. Strong second half start for them, outscoring the Boilers 14-9 so far. So they got a 9-point lead. They're currently laying 4.5 points in the game. They were 2.5-point underdogs before tip-off. I think that it was, the fact is they're playing in Indianapolis, and so they had, you get a little bit of a bump there for Purdue, but whatever. It is what it is. I thought Michigan were the better basketball team, but I understand Michigan haven't looked good on TV a couple of times, and people remember that. And Michigan State beat them up on national television 2 times in 2 weeks on TV. Arizona, baby, up 38-34. I'm on Arizona against Texas Tech. Close as hell here. Clemson and Louisville, 23-23. And UConn down right now by 11 at the half. I will say there is quite an attractive crowd. The cameraman's not playing around. I like, props to the cameraman, actually, this Clemson and Louisville game.
No doubt.
I don't know if you know what I mean, Lou? Like, he's doing his job.
Like, he's scoping.
Like every like, he's not playing around. And, like, they're not cutting away either. That's what I like, Lou. They can give us a little bit of a 5-second shot here. Not like an, oh, my God, and then they turn away. I hate that.
It's Friday night. Exactly. He's doing his job.
Gabriel, it takes a professional eye to diagnose some of the nuance that is
of
college and professional sports. And I know
exactly.
I can get it all right here. There's no question about it.
I see it all. All kidding aside, though, I remember I used to talk to the Expo players all the time, like at batting practice, and I was on the field and stuff like that. And it really is true. It's right out of the movie Major League, Lou. Like the dudes on the Expos were like, check that out. They would look up and they'd point up to like section 318 and stuff like that. I was like, man, you got an eye like a hawk. He goes, I see everything. And he goes, what do you think I'm doing here, standing here all game? I was like, damn, man, these guys aren't playing around.
In town for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What do you think they're doing?
Yeah, they know exactly. That's why there's the assistants, right? Hey, come here. Yeah. The old. It's like back to the Simpsons again, when Bart asked the baseball player for an autograph, and the guy ignored him. Then Marge did, and he signed the ball with his hotel room number.
Yeah.
That's like real old school ways.
Well, Gabe,
so baseball,
my friend, she's like her sister's like smoke show, right? So we go down there, at a Raptors game. Chris Child, same thing. Hotel number. Here you go. It's like I'm sitting there going, okay. I was unbelievable.
Oh, NBA players are next level. Yeah, those guys are dogs.
Like, yeah, it was like all information here.
What'd you get, Cam?
Oh, I just went up to her and go, I don't know if you want to dance. No, I did nothing. Nobody talked to me. I'm betting on the game.
You want to try that? I sat courtside at a Laker game. The Raptors, my Raptors were playing the Lakers, Lou, and I sat right behind the Raptor bench, and it devastated me. I was actually chirping them by the end of the game. Like, bro, like the coach was talking to them. It was like a close game, too. It's like a 4-point game, 2-point game, and the coach is talking to them, Lou, and all they were doing was just looking into the crowd. And it's a Laker game, Lou, so imagine, right? Like, they had no interest. Like, seriously, I was like, and even the Laker players, too, like when you sit that close and you really realize, like, what they're doing during these timeouts and stuff, you realize, oh, my God, I got money on these dudes. Like, they're not really, like, too into this. Like, they're kind of occupied with other things. All right, so, Lou, UFC, the fight goes on. Another card. You got to love it. On a betting scale, I always ask you, on a bettability scale, Lou, what were your thoughts on this card when you look at it and you break it down? Hot, cold, medium? How do you feel about this one?
I'm tickled that the UFC pumps out 44 to 46 events a year for me to decide that exact question. This one isn't what last week was. Let's face it. There are tremendously obscure names on this card. There's a guy that's fighting a debuter on this card that's going from 155 pounds to 135 pounds. So there's a lot of what I call due diligence fights on this card, meaning you got to watch them and learn, complete your database, get some information on some of these people, and try and cherry pick, I think, what, the main event, the main card, and a few other fights. That's how I've approached it.
All right, let's look at the main event. This is a rematch. Once again, Vettori is a minus 160 favorite. He won the first time out, Lou. This time it's going to be a 5-rounder. What's your thoughts on the rematch angle of it? What are your thoughts on the 5-round aspect of this fight?
The main event. And so Dolidze is a fighter that's pivoted between 205 and 185. He wants to stay active. He's looking to earn. Yes, he wants a championship, but at 36, he's motivated to fight a lot. And this will be his 4th fight in about 13, 14 months. He's big, strong, primarily a grappler, and sometimes struggles with his cardio, though he's evolved in his progression and his evolution as a mixed martial artist. Vettori's been off for 2 years. We last saw him in late 23 fight Jared Cannonier, get the break speed off of him from a much faster guy. But Vettori's tough. He's durable. He comes right at you. There's no quit in the guy, and he's got cardio for days. I believe that Vettori is a legit top 6 middleweight in the UFC today. And I believe that Dolidze is a top 10, but I don't believe he is 6 or above. I think he's in a strata below. I think this is a really close fight for a couple, 2.5 rounds. And even though the smaller cage will allow Dolidze more opportunity to try and grapple Vettori, the fact that Vettori's been off, he's fresh, he's been away from the game, recovering from an injury, I think he's ready to fire fresh. And I don't see much different in this fight than the last, except that Vettori could finish Dolidze in the 4th or 5th round, I think, if Dolidze runs out of gas. But Vettori decision or Vettori at a reasonable minus 150, minus 160 is my recommendation here.
Yeah, I agree, Lou. Like, Vittori's one of these guys. He's going to beat, like, a lot of people, but he's not going to be a champion, right? There's different levels. And in the mortal words of Brock Lesnar when he fought Shane Carwin, listen, there's levels to this stuff. He goes, they have Division II for guys like Shane because guys like me are in Division I. Like, there are levels. There's levels to it. And as you stated, where they're at in their careers here, I think Dolly's here. He's, like you said, he can't get past that sort of top 10 range. Vettori can't get past that sort of top 5 range and stay there. But some would argue, too, Lou, even though like he hasn't fought in a while, some would argue that the longer the fight goes is actually an advantage as well for Vettori. You know what I mean?
Yes,
that Dolly's is going to
think
gas
so.
anyways, right by the third, fourth. You know, he's not used to this, and he's not a guy with a great gas tank in the first place. Like you said, he's so square. He's like sort of like the rock'em sock'em type of guy.
You're right.
You know what I mean? It's like a block type dude. Like, so he could gas, Lou, to be honest with you.
Also, we just saw that with Alex Pereira having to fight so many huge, high competition, high profile championship fights in a row, it affected him. He wasn't as sharp in the fourth as the first.
You called it.
And I think that that's the same situation here. I think Dolidze's packed too many fights in a short amount of time, and I think the fact that Vettori fires fresh will help him.
All right, we'll hit the rest of the card on the other side. This is SportsRage. Bring it.
Play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. He's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. He said, listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman at third.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and, sort of working things out. But I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail. But I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some. Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Papi's career, he moved off first base. He went to DH. And Big Papi was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise where they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Louisville going on a run, and the cameraman's back to his favorite section of the arena. After every time Louisville goes on a little bit of a run, you get a little bit of a pop in this game. So Michigan are pulling away right now. Michigan are up by 13 with 11 minutes left, 63-50. Alabama up 40-34 on Kentucky. In-game total is 178.5, exactly what it closed at, actually. Creighton are smashing UConn up by 15. So it looks like it could be Creighton, unless we got a big comeback. Could be Creighton and St. John's for the Big East title as the Johnnies make the Big East championship game for the first time in 25 years. That's right. They haven't made it since the year 2000. Louisville are up 33-28 on Clemson at the half right now. UC San Diego, they've really put it together in the second half here. They've outscored UC Santa Barbara by 13. It's 26-13 in the second half. Now they're up by 12 in the basketball game. They could be on a collision course. I think we got time to get to it. We'll see if Cam's going to ride Cal Poly slow one more time tonight against the Ant Eaters. We'll get to the game after. So, Lou, co-main event. Let's get into the let's get down to business here. Co-main event tomorrow night. We've got Nokajanu and Dos Santos here. What do you think about this, Lou? Dos Santos minus 200 favorite.
Hey, guys, this is the fight you don't want to miss. The main event's going to go 4.5, 5 rounds. These guys are tough and durable, and neither one has such fight finishing power that one punch going to put the other guy out. Erase all of that when you talk about this co-main event. Nokajawani's a guy that 185 pounds, where he fought most of his career, he just seemed to not have the ability to sustain his energy. And he would it looked like he would quit. He was never a quitter. He just run out of gas pretty easy because he expended so much energy early. He's such a profusely powerful, straight down the pipe puncher. Okay, so he moves to 170. The last 3 or 4 fights looks on fire, and the weight is doing him right. Now, when he weighs in today, he's 1.5 pounds or so over, which I don't think kills him because he didn't kill himself to make the weight. He might have saved a little. He's in against this Elizio Zaleski dos Santos, who's a capoeira fighter from Brazil. That means he'll say hello to you, and you'll see his hand when he shakes it at 1 minute, and then he'll spin around, turn around, and clip you on the temple with his heel in the next minute. This dude has spinning elbows, kicks, flying knees. He's an unbelievably flamboyant striker, but he's 38. Nokajawani, 36. And Nokajawani, taller by 3 or 4 inches, a substantial 6-inch reach advantage. And the fact that he throws straight down the pipe at you, I think gives him advantage over the Brazilian, who's going to have a hard time maneuvering and getting in. Yet the Brazilian comes the decent favorite. I like Nokajawani as an underdog here. He was plus 200 or so earlier in the week, and by now his price has come down a little. I think he's closer to 160 to 175 now at a good plus price. I think Nokajawani's worth the investment.
Live dog plus 170. And speaking of kicks, how about last week, man? King Green, our boy Bobby Green. Holy. That was like insane. It was so fast, Lou. It's like I didn't really even when I watched the replay. Like, you know what I mean? It was
Gabriel,
like where it grazed like him. I'm like, did it even hit him? And it was so fast, Lou. It was literally like a bullet. You know what I mean? It's like if someone gets shot in a crowd and you're like, what happened? Where'd it come from? Like it was one of those type of kicks.
I can't agree more. In fact, when it went off and I saw it, I thought he missed him because there was just the slightest delay before Green crumpled like just freaking dirty laundry on the floor. When he crumpled, I mean, I've seen a lot of knockouts in my day. You guys have too. That's a top 5. These dudes, the fighting nerds, find that team and anyone in it, they're killers.
Wow. And you called it too. Like we talked about Bobby Green being an OG gangster from LA and stuff like that. But, you know, as you stated, this dude was mean. And that's the one thing where I was talking like I'm old school and, you know, the Rich Franklin days and George St. Pierre. And, you know, they fought these guys all the time. But these modern dudes are just like they're way faster. There's no one can dispute it. Like they're better athletes and stuff. Yeah, I think the old dudes, you can argue their heart and they were more sort of fighters. These guys are athletes, and just the speed is next level. Like, just imagine, like, dropping Hoist Gracie in here now with his kid on from, like, UFC 1. Like, he'd be in trouble. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Angel Hernandez and Kurt Hollabaugh. This should be a fun fight. Minus 225. What about this one, Lou? Is the price too high? Live dog here, or you like the favorite?
Well, actually, Angel Hernandez is a baseball ref, but we'll go with Alex Hernandez, who's the UFC fighter, Gabriel, and he's a pretty good.
What did I call him? Angel, that bad umpire.
Angel. Did I say
Angel?
You're
out of
You're on autopilot.
Yeah. Baseball's coming.
I had to call you out.
He's traumatized me so much in my life, Lou Angel Hernandez. I see A. Hernandez, I guess.
Exactly. A. Hernandez.
I call Jalen Brunson on the Knicks Derek Brunson all the time, Lou. It's so ingrained in me, too, like with these names over the years. And it's even with Nokuwanu here or whatever. I was thinking of
he had a brother. He had a brother that
the guy
was a
from
fighter.
Montreal. He fought in Montreal, right? Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. What was the camp's name? I can't believe I forgot the name.
I don't remember the bigger brother's name.
Yeah,
Big
but
brother
exactly. Yeah, that's why I was like, man, this guy's not the same guy, but are they related? I'm like, is this a new one?
Like me and the Cards, the quarterbacks, Gabe, I always screw them up. Always. It's like it's in your head.
David and Derek, yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Alexander Hernandez and Kurt Hollabaugh, Lou?
Yeah, so we got a good fight here. Hernandez opened a little shorter. He's come up a little bit. He's younger than Hollabaugh. Hollabaugh is a durable, formidable UFC fighter. This his second UFC stint, but I think he's in up to his eyebrows in quickness and speed.
We'll get Lou's best bets on the other side.
Play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. All right, he's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. He just, listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman at third.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and sort of working things out, but I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail. But I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some, Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Papi's career, he moved off first base, he went to DH. And Big Papi was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise when they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we got a couple more minutes with Lou, so I'll shut up and ask Lou, what are your best bets, sir? What are you looking at? What can you share with us that stands out on this card?
This kid Cunningham that's dropping from 155 to 135. Everybody thinks the guy's a lamb and a sheep, but he's going to be 4 inches taller than the guy he's fighting. He's got one fight under his belt, and he fought this killer at lightweight, Ludovit Klein. Now he's going to fight at 135. He made the weight without a problem. He comes a 500 underdog, and he responded in interviews and dialogue about being such an underdog, and he feels that people are misled and that he's a better fighter than people are letting, that the odds are letting him be known to be. And I agree with him. He's going to have some good advantages here against a guy that's unknown, that's coming in as a debuting fighter, that Cunningham's going to have dynamic advantage over. Cunningham's a huge underdog. Take a little taste of him straight up, but more importantly for me, because we can't try and predict the inconsistency of these freaking three blind mice judges like Marshall last week, who wins the fight but didn't get the nod, but he won on points.
Yeah. Good call.
That's how
points,
we're going to
You cashed it. You've been hitting the points. Good call.
Yes, and we're going to go with Cunningham on the points here. Cunningham in a 3-round fight. He's getting 3.5 points. He's still plus 175. And he knows he's in there to be a lamb against this guy. And he's the one with UFC experience. Bull Roar. You prove it to me. The kid's name is Yu Jitsu, who he's fighting against. A South Korean fighter named Yu. So you better show me, because I ain't believing in you. I'm actually believing in Cunningham. And I have him a couple different ways on that points handicap. It's really a great way to insulate yourself against the inconsistency of the judging.
It's like an MMA teaser almost. I love it, Lou.
That's
like,
what I was saying, Gabe. 3.5 rocks.
You're getting 3.5. You could lose 10-9, 10-9, 10-9. And you win your bet.
You're a winner.
Like,
correct.
Yeah, like you win a round, you're going to win. There's 10 rounds, 10-8 rounds are incredibly rare. Let me ask you about a couple other dogs. What do you think about, inconsistent, like Span? What do you think Span has left here, Lou, at plus 150 against Cortez Acosta? And what about the Carlos Vera fight? He's plus 550. Is that too high of a number for the favorite at minus 800?
Well, it's Carlos Vera. It isn't the Vera that we're thinking of. I'm trying to think of what the 135er that.
Yeah,
fought.
the old school Carlos Vera. Yeah, I know. Same thing with Lima. It's not Diego Lima.
This Carlos Vera is 37, fighting a 26-year-old kid from the Congo that's a freaking maniac. I would stay away from that fight. This Musasa ended up weighing in a little bit overweight, 1.5 pounds, but he's a finisher. And I think that Carlos Vera at that age, they're putting him in there to just receive, if you know what I mean. As far as Span is concerned, you asked, Span moves up to heavyweight. His last fight was 205. He steps on the scale today, 249, against a legitimate heavyweight. So this is a heavyweight fight. Span, there's a lot of variables with Span. I would lean to the other fighter in this situation. Cortez Acosta, who's the legitimate heavyweight, seems to be carrying the weight a little bit better, even though he's a little bit of a favorite. It might take Span a fight or two to grow into heavyweight, yet in fighter interviews, he wasn't committed to staying to heavyweight. He for a fighter that's had some mental challenges in the past, I'm being as delicate as I can. Balancing between two weight classes ain't a good sign.
That's why I use the word inconsistent, Lou. See, I'm a wordsmith. Inconsistency issues.
You're much
Span.
more nimble than I. You're way more nimble than me.
So you're telling me, Lou,
And in
this
the
guy
betting
put on
world, in the
45
sports book,
pounds?
someone say, listen, you don't know what you're going to have and get from this guy, but we'll take a shot. That's like we'll translate it into more of a, but good call. I don't know. You never know, guys. You never know, Cam. Like when a guy, sometimes the speed helps, right? If he's faster than the other dude, but sometimes they gas and they're not used to carrying the weight and they only really have a round in them. But find Lou over at Gamblu.com. And you can follow him on X at Gamblu and check out his podcast as well. Great stuff as always, Lou. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, guys. Good luck, everybody.
going to play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. He's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. He said, listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman at third.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and, sort of working things out, but I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail, but I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some, Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Poppy's career, he moved off first base, he went to DH, and Big Poppy was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise when they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. The Pittsburgh Players, the Hustlers, the people who busted them, and everybody else in between. Rob, we're waiting on Rob Vino setting up. He'll be with us in a couple of minutes. Cam, 44-43 for New Mexico over Boise State. I didn't bet this game because I kind of knew it was going to be exactly like this. I was like, yeah, this is a coin toss. And I have been in a marathon all week. And today, it's been a roller coaster. And I've been not punched in the mouth today, but it's been a lot of back and forth, give and take, and I'm not really on a roll today. So I didn't force it, and I had a lot of bets that I had anyways tonight. But for the record, so it's 46-43 for the Lobos right now. They're laying 3.5 with 13 minutes left. 143.5 is the total. For me, today my problem was, and I posted all my picks on X like I normally do. I don't post everything. Sometimes I get an in-game, maybe whatever, but not bad. I think I went 5-3. Like I posted 8 picks in the afternoon or whatever, and an 8-pack I gave, and I went 5-3. But I'm actually honest, and yeah, okay, I went 5-3. I went like 1-4 with in-game totals and stuff. I have a propensity to bet overs. I got this tendency from Rob Vino. That's the thing. You hang around Rob Vino, and you come away.
Rob Vino.
Over. More points. And once again, too, I won't cry like Sean Higgs about it, but I lost by half a point, 1 point, couple of bricks, free throws. Like there was one game today, I needed like 2 points, and I got it was just like bricks at the end with the free throws. I was like, because they were up big and they didn't care, and I was like, oh God.
I was thinking about him. Remember he said last night, he's like, I got to keep it easy. He's like, I like St. Louis and the Billikens lost. I'm like, Higgs must be in orbit right now. Like, it's just, that's what happens in these conference tournaments, man. Around Christmas time bowl games, if you get bad and you go on a streak like that, I've been pretty fortunate. Like I took Maryland today and a couple other ones, Michigan State over. Like I've had a very good day, but we've had holidays ruined because of like bad streaks in these bowl games and conference tournaments games before. It can happen.
Rob Vino with us. Rob, this stuff is a marathon. I think of the late, great Dave Malinsky. I sort of slipped his name out earlier by mistake, actually. I guess it was a Freudian slip, but I was used to do the Gabriel. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And Rob, you get into these conference tournaments and stuff, and it's just all day long. I know you're firing away all day.
Yeah.
And for me, it's been roller coasters where I win 8 in a row, I lose 5 in a row, this and that. And it's like, it's pretty draining, but I can't help but think, and another fallen friend of the late, great Brian Blessing. But I was living in Vegas years ago, guys, and it was like 2013, 14. I think it was in that era. It was like whatever year it was. But they had a big thing over at the Golden Nugget. And, like, they had, like, the ballroom, and they had, like, all these screens up, and they had, like, kiosks and, like, betting windows and blackjack tables. It was like a big sort of, like, Blessing loved it over there. So I went down there, and it was one of those deals where, like, the first Thursday of March Madness, I won, like, there was, like, 8 games. I think I won 7 of them. Next wave, I bet again, I win again. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is, like, the best March Madness ever. 24 hours later, Rob, literally and figuratively, I walked home because I couldn't afford a bus or a Uber or taxi. I lost, like, it was just like one of those 6 games. You know what year it was? It was Michigan. Michigan lost to the Ohio Bobcats. Trey Burke was the point guard. That was the game. I don't even remember that game, Vino, but things can change in a hurry. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you're betting all these games, right? So let's close strong, Mr. Vino. So I'll ask you, Cal Poly slow. It's been an over machine this week. Let's go back to the window, right?
Well, why not, Dave? Why not? I mean, Tuesday, Wednesday, I felt like they just should have thrown me in the morgue and locked the door because it was an absolute bloodbath.
in the morgue and lock the door. What a line.
Throw me in the morgue and lock the door.
Oh, Vito's
my
strong.
God, Gabe, it was horrendous Tuesday and Wednesday. You want to talk about betting overs and coming up short every way imaginable. Whether it be close or whether it be not close, it didn't matter. Whether you be up with 30 seconds left and thinking you're going to catch it and find some crazy way to lose, it's been that way. I mean, conference tournaments are a different handicap, for sure. You find it all the time. One of the things that I did get right last night was SMU with the 7 against Clemson. You know, the market bet it up, but I'm just, you just got to start playing around with these things in your head and thinking about these teams and their will to survive, so to speak. And for SMU, they hadn't had a win against an elite team all season long, so I thought they'd play it close. They did. Tonight's been a little bit better. Today started off better, so I was happier from 12 o'clock East till like 5. I'm like, yeah, we're in the plus column today, so let's roll. But back to the Cal Poly slow. Why wouldn't you bet them over? I mean, last night it was crazy, but they got to 96, I think. It's all they do. They go fast, faster, and fastest. So, hopefully they can drag Irvine with them tonight. Irvine actually should win the game, so we'll see.
This is Cal Poly Slow's last 7 games, guys. They hung, it's amazing, like the amount of points that are being put up on the board. They scored 112 against Irvine. They scored 98 against Santa Barbara, 100 against Fullerton, 83 against Long Beach. Now you get into the conference tournament action. They scored 86 on UC Davis. They hung 96 in their last game. It's just been time and time again here, Rob, to the over. But as you stated, you see these teams. I brought it up earlier, Cam, when you ride these hot dogs, and it's a lot of points tonight. I get it, right? It's a lot of points, but you get these hot dogs that have played 2 games, and they're the third game in 3 days, Rob. In the second half, it starts to catch up to them a little bit. But is the point spread too high tonight in this basketball game, in your opinion, with Irvine?
I think it is. I don't, Cal Poly's a team that's equipped for 40, whether it be on back-to-backs or back-to-back-to-back. They're just conditioned that way, kind of like the way, I don't know if it's exactly the same, but it's very much like the way Loyola Marymount in 90 was conditioned to just go and go and go no matter what. We don't care if we give up a bucket. Even if we're tired, we'll give up the bucket because we're tired. But on offense, we're never tired. And that's kind of what Cal Poly reminds me of at this point.
One thing with Irvine, they're kind of known for their defense, but they can score as well, guys. So I don't blame you, Cam, for liking the points here. They've been good to you this week. They've been cashing tickets. They've been hot, but I do think this is the end of the line for Poly. So now it gets into, can they win the game or not, right? That's what it comes down to.
I agree with everything you're saying, Gabe, but when a team wins for you, like when I took that UNLV streak and like wrote it 7 games and they're winning all the time. And if I lose one, I'm going to lose one. And great call by you live last night as they clipped that live number in the game. And a lot of people were very happy listening to the show. But Cal Poly.
I lost. The listeners won because I lost. I got him at plus 10.5. And then,
I thought you got 12.5 and they lost by 12. No?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
No, I got screwed. That was my day last. I got screwed by half a point. And I'm getting, you like that, Rob? I gave it live on the show. I said, I took UNLV in game at 10.5, but I said, I really like it at 13.5 here. And then, of course, they lose by half a point after.
Unreal.
And then I'm getting people thanking me online. Great pick, Morency. I actually lost, Rob.
How about you send me some monies? Mail me something. Thanks. No, but I'm telling you,
I got screwed, man, by a point. Yeah.
You're right. Irvine's better, but Cal Poly Slow have been so good. And it's one of those teams, sometimes those underdogs can gain momentum. It just seems like a lot. So I'll ride them one more time. That's me.
My Michigan Wolverines getting it done. 80-66. Nobody believed in them tonight, including you, Scott Farrell.
Yeah. Boo. Boo.
No, Dave, no. Purdue's going to beat him. Michigan's struggling.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Rob Vino is with us, wagertalk.com, robvinosports.com. And Rob's a very magnanimous man. Despite all the turmoil going on in the world, there will be no tariffs added to Rob's picks. Rob Vino.
That's right.
No tariffs.
No tariffs. No tariffs wherever you are in the world. No tariffs. You're welcome to get purchase the package from wherever you are, right, Rob? Wherever you are in the world.
Hey,
No tariffs.
Hired by the people, for the people. It's all about the people with me, Gabe. I'm a people guy. No tariffs.
That's so good.
Warehouse price.
So we got a good one here. Creighton at UConn, we're down by 15 a couple of minutes ago, guys. There's 5 minutes left now. They've cut the lead. They cut the lead to 4, but Creighton just hit a bucket. 62-56, in-game total 140.5. UConn are getting 4.5 right now with 5 minutes left. I kind of think UConn are going to take this down to the wire here. And I tell you what, I'm kind of proud of myself. I took Arizona tonight, guys. It was a toss-up game. Everyone, Texas Tech this.
No.
I think personally, I was saying this, I said this earlier in the day, actually, to Scott Farrell. We were talking about teams and stuff, Rob. And he asked me about this game. And I said, nobody talks about Arizona, but they have some big-time wins, this team. And you see, dude, they have the talent to play with anybody in the country. Like, Arizona are for real. Like, they're a good basketball team. I'm not saying they're going to win the national championship, but I think they're a little bit under – I'm not going to say the odds makers don't know they're good, but it seems like, no one talks about them, Rob, the Arizona Wildcats this year.
Yeah, I think they got lost a little bit in the conference, right, Gabe? That Big 12 is so good, and there's so many other teams you can talk about in the Big 12 that Arizona, it's not like the Pac-12 where they were always the kingpin. So they get a little bit lost behind the Houston Cougars, et cetera, et cetera. So, when all these teams get to break out of their conference play and go play non-conference teams in the NCAA tournament, that's when you find out how good these conferences really are, because they start destroying people, So it's interesting you're talking about the in-game line. Last night I actually took a shot with Creighton. They're down 11 to DePaul with about 8 left, and I took 3.5 with Creighton. They come all the way back. And it's funny how this tournament works, because it looks like they just barely scraped by DePaul. How could they possibly beat UConn? But sometimes once you get through that first one, you're good to go. Sometimes it goes the other way. But
I like that angle.
In these things,
I like that angle, Vino. What we learned too? I've learned a long time ago, like teams that survive in the NCAA tournament on like a last-second basket. You're like, oh, they barely beat this team. I find it the opposite. They can go on a heater. That's the whole thing. Like, you look at these teams, and I took Louisville tonight. I know they won on a buzzer beater, but that's why I like them against Clemson. I'm like, you know what? That's when you win in that style, it can actually galvanize a team. That's what I'm starting to think, Gabe. And, so far so good. The game's not over, but that's why I like them in this spot. And to your point, Morency, about Arizona, they win games when sometimes Caleb Love isn't shooting. If that guy nails his shots, they could beat anybody anytime. That team is very dangerous. I agree.
They're going to be on a collision course with Houston. And off the top of my head, the last time they played, it was like a 2-point game. I think it was in Arizona. It was a really good game. It was super close, though. So, yeah, it's a 4-point game now, Creighton and UConn. It was 4.5. I didn't jump in time. It just moved to 2.5. If it bounces back up, I'll jump in at the 4.5. 57-46 for Alabama over Kentucky. 54-53 New Mexico. Boise just going back and forth right now. So games coming up here. We talked about Cal Poly slow. They're getting 10.5. The total's 159.5. And then, Rob, we got Cal Baptist and the Lopes, Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon were criticized, and they frustrated teams because they were one of the worst teams against the spread in the country this year. But Grand Canyon used to be unknown. Now they're overvalued all the time. But it seems to me, Rob, they're dialing it up a notch at the right time of the year, the Lopes. What's your take? We saw them, they've been killing teams this week. Now they get Cal Baptist, who I was on last night, but now they're getting 8. Do you think the spread's too high? And what do you think of the total here at 141.5?
Yeah, well, for Grand Canyon, 2 shots against Cal Baptist this year. One really close. I think it was like a 2-point game, but the other one, a Grand Canyon blowout. I think they won double digits, maybe 13. So it's hard to make heads or tails of the season history, at least. But I like the way Grand Canyon's playing right now, Gabe. I agree with you, because I was on them a couple of times middle of the year where totals were concerned, and it looked like the offense, they were leaving me hanging because their offense wasn't playing very well. But lately, the offense has come alive. Bryce Drew's got the better talent in that conference for sure. And I feel like they probably win this one going away as well against Cal Baptist. I know Cal Baptist played them to within 2 the last time, but I think there's a serious class gap between these two teams. And Greg Canyon just seems to be going really good at this point in time, which is what you want. You want somebody that's rolling.
The Lopes are 7-1 straight up, guys, in their last 8 games. So they're starting to peak at the right time right now. They've been money burners, 11-19 ATS on the season, but they are 24-7 straight up. And Baptist, nice season. You know, they've added a couple of wins to this. They were 15-14, now 17-14. They're 11-20 against the spread as well. So it's not like there's some sort of covering machine. All right, let's take a look at some of the overnight numbers right now for the games tomorrow as championship Saturday and semifinal Saturday. It starts to, the intensity picks up and the teams start to get better going head-to-head. How about the Maine Black Bears? They beat Vermont for the first time in 30 games, and they get Bryant. Man, how long is this conference tournament going to go on for? You guys have been playing for like 2 weeks. Like, seriously.
Right.
Like Maine, like, it's one of these deals, Cam, where they've been off since Tuesday again or something.
You're
It's like,
right.
guys, you played on Tuesday, man. Like, what's... I forgot. I got to be honest. I just sort of assumed Bryant already won this thing. I was like, I thought Bryant already were in, but you got Maine and Bryant, Utah State, Colorado State. Oh, Princeton and Yale. So the Ivy League action starts tomorrow. Loyola, Chicago, VCU, big boy action. Tennessee and Auburn. Tennessee Volunteers getting 4 points, total 139. I thought of you, Rob, when you were coming on tonight, when they were talking about it during the game. They said these two teams played like last month, and it was 55-53. We got a total of 139 here. It was a real slugfest. Wisconsin gets 2.5 against Michigan State, 144.5. We'll get Rob's thoughts and maybe a best bet or two on the other side. Let's roll.
Play a little game of true or false, fantasy or reality is what we used to call it. But instead, we're going to play a little game of buy or sell. Rafael Devers had a press conference and basically said, I ain't moving off third base. I'm a third baseman. I won't play DH. I won't play anywhere else. Alex Bregman was just signed, so how's this going to work out? Buy or sell, George? Devers will start more games at third than Bregman this season. Is that a buy or sell?
Yeah, Devers is a horrific third baseman. All right, he's bad. I think he ranks dead last in the league here. I think Cora is going to talk to Devers. Apparently, they are close. Listen, you got to move, buddy. I'm sorry. You got to move. We're a better team with Bregman at third.
I think he's dug in here, man. I don't know. I know that there was a report a few days ago that they were talking about it and, sort of working things out, but I think in the end, cooler heads will prevail, but I don't know when that's going to be. I'm going to buy this. I'm going to say that Devers starts like 90 games at third base this season. And I think that'll probably be the compromise here. I think that Bregman will start some, Devers will start some. Bregman's still a Gold Glove third baseman at this stage of his career. It doesn't really add up. The other thing that happened is over the course of Big Poppy's career, he moved off first base, he went to DH. And Big Poppy was Devers, right? I mean, pretty similar in stature there. But Devers just seems to be really dug in on this. I think if it was going to happen, George, we would know by now. And it hasn't. We just heard that it may. So I am going to buy. I don't think Devers plays 150 at third base or even 140 or anything like that. But I do think he plays more than Bregman at third. I think that they have a compromise when they play both.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Boise up 57-53 on New Mexico right now. As this game right now is about 5 minutes left. Alabama up 64-50. And for those of us that bet the over, And Rob just took the Bama team total. I got the over 179.5 or 179 even, and went down to 178.5, I think. But in-game total suddenly 186.5, 64-50. Still a lot of time left. 14:29 left. Creighton have pulled away a little bit again. They're up by 8 with 2 minutes left. Oh boy, here comes Texas Tech. Patting myself on the back for Arizona. Here comes Texas Tech, 64-59. Arizona nursing a 5-point lead with 8 minutes left. Louisville pulling away. Cam, you took Louisville in game. That was a good pick. Louisville are up by 13, and I don't think Clemson have the offense to come back. So looking at tomorrow's slate, Rob, what catches your eye?
The first one you talked about, Bryant, the conference
Bryant
that
in
played for
Maine.
2 weeks.
What a game.
You know, it's not even like these travel situations. I get that they play on home courts, right? They don't play in one set arena. But they're driving back and forth in a bus between Vermont and New Hampshire, most of these teams. I mean, it's not that far, guys. It does take 2 weeks to do it.
We had to look it up. We're not going to lie. We had to look it up last week. We're like, Bryant, where the hell is Bryant? And it's Rhode Island, for the record.
Yeah,
it's Rhode Island. It's like you said, Maine to Rhode Island. How long is it? How long is that going to take on the team bus?
It's not that hard. It really isn't. It's not 2 weeks worth of travel, I'll tell you that. Unless you got, yeah, I'm not going to make fun of senior citizens. I'm getting a beat up. But let's
considering, I don't see any 22-year-olds on this set right now.
Yeah, we're very
probably
close to our
not the best
years,
analogy.
Gabe, at the casino. Exactly. Yes.
I still know where the gas pedal is, though. I could get you from Rhode Island to Maine before 2 weeks. It's interesting, Gabe. Bryant's head coach is Phil Martelli's kid.
Oh,
and he
wow.
just implemented one of those Paul Westhead guru of go styles up there that run the 7th fastest tempo in the country, forever scoring points. Maine didn't really belong here. Nobody thought they were going to get here. Again, Vermont, by their standards, it was a down year. But still, they had home floor. They were favored to beat this team. This team beat them. Now you got to play the title game on Bryant's home floor. I'm not so sure they come within 8 points.
Rob, Vermont had beaten Maine 30 consecutive times,
Yeah,
Rob.
imagine that.
So you don't tell me these Maine kids, I know they're fired up for this game, but they don't have another upset in them. That was it. And like you said, this was not a great Cat team. The Catamounts were not great this year.
Not this time around. And Bryant really is. I mean, when they start scoring, they score in bushels, and it's probably tough for Maine to come back. They're just not built that way. So I kind of like that. I guess we can go back to what you were talking about earlier with Auburn, Tennessee, because this kind of fits what Cam was talking about before. Auburn had a dogfight today with Mississippi, and you look at that game and you think, my God, they could barely beat Ole Miss. How the heck they got to walk in there and beat Tennessee? But it could just be that they have a game under their belts now and they're ready to go. Sometimes it happens when you're sitting around, you collect the rust, got to shake the rust off. Credit to Ole Miss, but maybe Auburn's the right side there. It looks a little bit light at only -4. So maybe I would look at Auburn. And then I think the last one really quick here, Gabe. The Wisconsin-Michigan State game, I was telling you guys off air, I have a flyer on Wisconsin to win the conference tournament. I just like the way they play. It's difficult to beat Michigan State, but I think they are capable of doing so. So a potential look at Wisconsin tomorrow, too.
Rob Vino with us. And, Auburn, the one thing with Auburn is they're so good defensively. Like you don't get second chance points. They really battle for the loose balls. They seem to win all the loose ball battles. They block shots. They're aggressive offensively. They're like a more talented, you know what I mean? Like teams like Michigan State where they grind you out and stuff, but it takes them 3 shots to get 2 points. They'll miss the putback, and then they'll get the rebound, and then they'll put that back. Like Auburn are like better at it. Like they just grind you out, and they can win a lower scoring game, a higher scoring game. Auburn are dangerous, but I'm not convinced they're going to win the national championship. Speaking of which, Rob, do you have a flyer? So you said Wisconsin. Any other flyers? You got 30 seconds on the way out here. Any other flyers on futures for the NCAA tournament before we speak next week?
I should have gotten there 3 weeks ago, Gabe, because I think Florida's the best team in the country right now. They were 20-1. They're down to 7-1. Maybe 7-1 still good, but Florida just looks like the most overall rounded team, best rounded team right now.
Yeah, they are. Duke is pretty deep, too, as they're showing, right? But Duke's, seems to be fragile with the injury situation. Thanks, Rob.
Have a good one, Rob.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Gators' resume is excellent. We know how hard it is to win on the road in college. They've won at Auburn and at Bama.
Michigan State is 17-5 in quad one, quad twos. Are they a one seed? I think not. They may make claim if they make a run and there's craziness in the SEC.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They're also showing a little bit more propensity to take the pull-up jumper, which I think is important for them. Aiden Holloway's been better. Brant Nelson's getting staying out of foul trouble. Cleffa Murray is attacking the offensive boards and being the defensive threat that they need. If Alabama can defend, and they make a run, and they win the SEC tournament, I think they're the fourth number one seed.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Morency, the Pips, the Players, the Hustlers, the people that busted them, and everybody else in between, including Rob Vino. We're kicking it SiriusXM Channel 159 on the SportsGrid radio and television networks. Like I said earlier, the AFL is back. Mick Aussie, Rob, is actually in Australia right now. I don't know what game he's going to, but he's going to a game this week. I think he's going to an Adelaide game, actually, but he'll be posting online for sure, so we'll find out. I'll look on his Twitter account. We'll take a look at the card here, but Rob, it's Rob Vino is a smart man. We have a lot in common when it comes to picking games, and he also is a fan of the best franchise in sports, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Season starts, Rob. I've been confused about the start times. I'm like, so is it Monday night, Tuesday night? Like, what is this exactly? Like, you know what I mean? So it's Tuesday morning, East Coast. Tuesday morning, East Coast, 6 o'clock in the morning. So Monday night, West Coast, 3 in the morning on Monday night. Dodgers are 165 favorites in game one, Rob. They're 155 favorites in game two. The total is 8.5 in both the games, and they're rolling out an all-Japanese staff. Obviously, with Sasaki goes in game two, makes his debut. Yamamoto versus Imanaga. And Justin Steele goes in game two for the Cubs. What do you think of the two-game set, Rob?
Yeah, well, we're never going to get a good price with the Dodgers, right? We're always going to pay a premium to bet the Dodgers. I usually like to shift it to run line if I think it's possible, lay a little less, lay the extra run. How do they label the home team here, Gabe? Which is do they trade home in a way, or is one team home both games, or how does that work?
I believe
don't know.
That's a great question.
I think the Dodgers lost both home games, to be honest. I could be crazy here. Let me see.
They should split it.
No, it's the Cubs. So the Cubs are the designated. The Cubs lose the 2 home games. I guess it was last year the Dodgers lost the games with the San Diego. So so the Cubs, Rob, will bat last, just for the record, for run line purposes. The Dodgers are the designated road team in both games, so they'll be wearing the road grays.
Yeah, so with the Dodgers, you're getting 9 at-bats is the point, right? So you bet the visitor run line is a little bit better than playing a home team run line in case it only goes 8 innings. But I would think LA's in good shape here. Gabe, I mean, Sasaki, the Cubs have no idea what he has, what he throws. I mean, if he's anywhere near the plate, it's going to be their first time viewing him, so that should be good for them. Yamamoto, to me, is top 10 starting pitcher in the National League. So they've got the pitching edge. We know they've got the bats. Our bullpen has ours. The LA bullpen has a couple of injuries to it, but I still think they're deep enough. So I'd probably look Dodgers game 1, probably run line, and try and bring that price down a little bit.
It's interesting. Yamamoto made his debut last year in game 2 in Korea. And San Diego hit him. He didn't get lit up, but he gave up, 3? I think he gave up like 4 runs or so. Now Sasaki makes his debut. Right. I think, like you said with Yamamoto, I'm a big Yamamoto fan, Rob. I believed him in the playoffs, and I trust him in big spots. And I think the baseball world is about to find out how good this guy really is. Think about it, Rob. It's not easy, and Cam, it's not easy to move from Japan to a new city. You're in America. You don't speak English. You're on the LA freaking Dodgers. You're under an immense amount of pressure, right? Like, there's a lot, you know what I mean? And you win the World. Like, I think that Yamamoto is going to be much more comfortable in year 2, Rob. I think he's going to be dominant this year.
Yeah, I think he started to show it towards the end of the year last year, Gabe. I mean, I remember that one playoff game where if Dave Roberts didn't live by that index card that tells him when he's supposed to take people out, Yamamoto probably could have thrown another couple scoreless innings in that game. Right. He was absolutely retiring him pretty easily. So I agree with you. I think he's going to be really, really good here. I don't remember I do remember Yamamoto getting slammed around by San Diego in that game last year, his first start, but I don't remember if he was part of World Baseball Classic or not. I'm trying to remember. I thought there was something to that. He was?
Yeah, he was. He did pitch in the World Baseball Classic for Team Japan. Total 8.5. I like the under in game 1. I think, you got 2 badass pitchers. It's the first game of the year. I expect the pitchers to be a little bit ahead of the bats early. Tokyo Dome dimensions. It's not like a sandbox or anything like that. Let's see, Tokyo Dome baseball to be exact. Baseball dimensions, but it's not like a sandbox. The Korean stadium was shorter. Actually, you know what? It is pretty short. It's 328 down the side, left and right field. 328, and it's 400 to center field. So there could be a couple of balls. There could be for home run better props there. There could be a couple of shots. Whatever, dude. There's no way in hell I'm not taking Ohtani to hit a home run in Japan, Rob. That's just a bet, Mike. You know what I mean? Like,
I'd have to imagine the Tokyo Dome is turf as well, so the ball scoots through quicker. Which helps offense. But you're right. If you're not betting Ohtani to hit a home run, and how many games did it take you last year? I remember, Gabe, you bet him every game from the start of the season. It took him like 6 or 7 to hit one, didn't it?
Yeah, it was frustrating. I remember, I got a flashback. Our boy George Kurtz, who comes on with us, he bets a lot of baseball props. He tapped out. He gave up. I think it was like game 8 or game 9. He's like, I can't do it anymore. And then Ohtani, remember when he hit his first one, I think it was like on a Thursday or Friday type deal. Oh, look at this. UConn and Creighton are getting into it. The kid on Creighton, you got to be careful, kid. You got a big game coming up tomorrow. That was some serious taunting. The kid, look at this kid Neil on Creighton. Like, he just got teed up. He's probably going to get kicked out of the game. UConn don't like going like UConn. Like, the kids on Creighton are trash talking. Got to love the Big East at Madison Square Garden. It's getting real.
Yeah, but I'm surprised Danny Hurley's not fighting the kid. That's what I'm surprised about.
Yeah, you know what though? The coach, what is it, McDermott? The coach of of Creighton. Look how big he is. You see, like, Hurley's not doing anything. He's massive.
Oh,
Look at this guy.
I know. McDermott's an animal.
Even Hurley's like, hey, chill out. Hey, like,
that guy would put you in a chokehold and end it.
Now Hurley starts mouthing off when McDermott walked away. Now Hurley's like chirping and stuff. It's like, dude, he was right there for a minute.
McDermott's going to turn around and go, hey, Hurley, how you doing? But I remember, Gabe, when George got off it, Ohtani went, home run, home run, home run. That's why you can't get off that stuff. You got to ride it. It's going to suck for a while. It's like we talk about with playoff overtimes in hockey and whatever. Just ride it out. You can't quit, especially when it's not winning. Because when it does, it heats up big time.
I just saw the replay here. No, it's true. But I just saw the replay here. UConn, like Hurley, overreacted, right? The kid on Creighton dunked the ball. He doesn't see the guy on UConn standing underneath the basket. The kid sort of took like a shoe to the face a bit, but not hard. Sort of moved out of the way. But you'll see the highlight here. One of the kids on UConn, like, fisted up. Like he was going to punch the guy on Creighton. I don't know why, like, dude, I think they're mad also because it was a showboat dunk. It was pretty nice. That was a better. You know what? This is all on UConn. The Dorita dude came in here and pushed them first. Then it put his fist up. Look at this. What are you mad about, bro? You're down by, it's 10 points, a 10-point game. And you're mad they're dunking late? Man, UConn really are a bunch of bitches. Let's just call it out for what it is, for lack of a better term. They're just, you know what I mean? Hurley, like, he cries and he bitches when he loses, and it's always everyone else's fault. Now they're losing, and his players are, like, acting like kids on the court. That's some weak-ass stuff right there.
I don't know why I'm watching Raptors in Utah, but Raptors are covering, and it feels good. Let's get these guys plus 4.5. They're up 6. Go Toronto.
Can you
I don't know why you're watching. I'm a Raptors fan. I'm never watching.
Yeah, well,
Raptors
you know
are
what,
up 97-88.
I got money on it. That's why it's on.
How about this, guys? The Lakers. Yeah. Like, who's playing for the Lakers tonight? They didn't have anybody, and it's 113. Thanks, Rob.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Gators' resume is excellent. We know how hard it is to win on the road in college. They've won at Auburn and at Bama.
Michigan State is 17-5 in quad one, quad twos. Are they a 1 seed? I think not. They may make claim if they make a run and there's craziness in the SEC.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They're also showing a little bit more propensity to take the pull-up jumper, which I think is important for them. Aiden Holloway's been better. Brant Nelson's getting staying out of foul trouble. Clifford Murray is attacking the offensive boards and being the defensive threat that they need. If Alabama can defend, and they make a run, and they win the SEC tournament, I think they're the fourth number 1 seed.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. The Friday Night Free Show continues. Tony Finn is lost somewhere in Area 51. Boise State is up 70-67 on New Mexico. 6 minutes left in this game. This game's just been like whatever, close all game long. Alabama are murdering Kentucky. There's still nearly 10 minutes left in this game. They're up to 141 right now. So it's 81-60. Total was 179, 178.5, 179.5, depending on when you bet it. I think it could still get there, but we need Kentucky not to quit. We need, even though they're getting smoked, we need them to still put a couple of points up. Cal Poly slow cam off to a 3-0 lead on UC Irvine. A little bit of a cushion for you.
I'll take it. Now, what am I getting now? 13.5?
No, it's 8.5 now. It was 10.5. Now it's 8.5.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm going to ride this team out, Gabe. It's just they've been so good. And you know what it is? It's just like the most heartbreaking thing about these tournaments is when you're like a crazy underdog and you go all the way and then you'll lose like in the final game because you're not in. Like you got to win those small schools. You got to win your tournament. That's it's a tough task.
Nobody's
They've been on a really nice heater.
There hasn't really been, though. You're right, though. Cal Poly Slow is the one. You're right. These guys are a good example of that. Like Cal Poly Slow making the NCAA tournament would be huge. They're not going to make it.
No.
Like they would have to beat Irvine, and then they have to beat San Diego. And speaking of San Diego, actually, San Diego got all they can handle early in this game. It wasn't easy for them. That's the thing with San Diego, the Tritons. People, the real hardcore basketball, college basketball hardcores knew that this team was like covering point spreads, and that them and Florida A&M were tied for the best ATS record in college basketball. But the problem is, I don't know, it was about a month ago or so when people basically when the NFL started to wind down, people started to pay attention and catch on that, oh my God, look at this UC San Diego team that nobody's ever heard of because there's a million San Diego teams are covering point spreads all the time. Suddenly, remember, they were like 22-point favorites against Long Beach. And then they became massive favorites all the time. Now they're not covering as much, and they still are a covering machine. But they ended up pulling away tonight in the second half here. They're on a collision course here, Kev, in my opinion, with UC Irvine, who are, I'm not a bracketologist, but I'll tell you what, you see, Cam, all the time, these teams, I always feel bad for a team like the San Francisco Dons.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, dude, they're 24-8 or whatever, but they never get into the tournament. It's like, oh, you need to win the conference. And I don't think that this is a too-big conference here. But you can make an argument that San Diego, if they lost to UC Irvine tomorrow, that they should still be in the NCAA tournament. But I don't think they will be. So, like Irvine are freaking good, too, bro. And what I'm saying is, only one of them can get into the tournament because I don't think there's no way in hell the committee's going to put these guys in ahead of, Texas or something like that,
I love this conversation.
Or North Carolina.
Because you're right. The San Francisco Dons are the third best team in the conference behind Gonzaga and St. Mary's. You know what? They beat Oregon State. They hang with
but they're
Gonzaga.
not even a conversation, and they're 24-8. You know what I mean? Or 24-9 or something.
My point being is, if we're on the committee, I think they're actually a team we should look at. They
didn't beat anybody good. That was their problem.
No, Gabe, but the thing is, they're going to let these. That's the whole thing. It's like, I get it that the conference gets nixed and stuff, but they still play a couple good teams. They've beaten teams that they've had to. There are 20. Look how many wins they have. They're a very good basketball team.
That's what I'm saying about San Diego. Look, they're 29-4 right now. So let's say they lose tomorrow. All right, so you're going to tell these guys you're 29-5, but you're not good enough. You're not a top 68 team. For the record, too, and everybody lives as Ken Palm is the Bible of college basketball. And, Ken Palm rankings, Ken Palm this, Ken Palm that, and how the odds makers use Ken Palm even and respect him. Ken Palm has, I think they're 39th or something.
Well,
right? San Diego are good. They have a top 50. San Diego's offense is pretty good by all the sort of geek metrics and stuff. I don't know if they're going to beat Irvine. Well, I will see what happens with Cal Poly, but that'll be the big showdown tomorrow, Cam. I'm curious. I can't wait. That's a big time game. And as I stated, I think it's only going to be winner take all. Cal Baptist up 8-6 on Grand Canyon right now. Louisville, we're smashing Clemson, man. 67-52. It's a rout.
I got them on the money line
Arizona.
too, Gabe.
Oh,
We're on
nice.
Arizona. Yeah.
Arizona are up by 6 with a minute and a half left. They've been hanging on and been up by 4 or 5 most of the night, actually. So they're trying to put the finishing touches on this one. 80-74 is the score. Cal Poly and Irvine are off and running. We've got Irvine. What do I have here? I got Irvine in the money line parlay.
I think getting
Yeah,
in
here's
on
what I
Grand Canyon, if you can get Grand Canyon 5.5, it just flipped to 6. It's so early in the game. Like, that's a good number. The original number was higher. I think Grand Canyon's probably going to beat Cal Baptist by, what are we thinking, 10-14? Like, I think they'll cover that number.
I'm not in love with it, actually. I think Cal Baptist are going to, could give them all they can handle, Cam. I think they're going to win. I think Grand Canyon will win around the point spread. I think the odds makers got it right. Like, they're going to win by 7 or 9 or something like that. It'll be right one way or the other. I have Grand Canyon on a money line parlay. Alabama to win, and Alabama are up by 20. Grand Canyon to win, and UC Irvine to beat Cal Poly slow. So
you know what team's being underrated?
I don't have to
Gabe?
cover the number. I just need Irvine to win.
This team used to do me well, really, like when I was younger, and I remember they beat Kentucky as a 17-point dog, and I'll never forget that day. It was one of the best of my life. UAB's playing really good basketball right now, and nobody's talking about these guys.
Yeah,
Like,
right. They're right there too. They're moving on.
They're playing good.
They're
Watch
up by
out.
14 on East Carolina right now. Big win for the Michigan Wolverines tonight against Purdue. Nobody really believed in Michigan. And now, the Big Ten, like I said earlier, the Big Ten is good this year. In past years, I think it's been overhyped and stuff. They're not as good as they thought it was. But this year it is good. And this is a nice Final Four that they have. Wisconsin and Michigan State. It's a big-time basketball game. And you know what? I always talk about it, Cam. I hate betting on teams that I hate. And I don't like Michigan State. I hate's a strong word, but I don't like Michigan State. And I like this Wisconsin team. I bet Wisconsin all year. I caught on a long time earlier in the season that Wisconsin are a great over team. I think Michigan State are going to beat them.
Tough game.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Gators' resume is excellent. We know how hard it is to win on the road in college. They've won at Auburn and at Bama.
Michigan State is 17-5 in quad one, quad twos. Are they a one seed? I think not. They may make claims if they make a run and there's craziness in the SEC.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
They're also showing a little bit more propensity to take the pull-up jumper, which I think is important for them. Aiden Holloway's been better. Brant Nelson's staying out of foul trouble. Clifford Murray is attacking the offensive boards and being the defensive threat that they need. If Alabama can defend, and they make a run, and they win the SEC tournament, I think they're the fourth number one seed.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
You know, when you watch games, I was going to tweet this the other day, actually, and I didn't. It was the same thing. You know, when you watch games, and I don't have the sound up right now, but obviously, you know, when you have the sound up, you're watching a game, and the game ends, but you're so caught up in other stuff, you're looking at scores of other games, and you don't change the channel right away, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you lose the bet, sometimes you change the channel right away, but, like, the other day, that was what it was. It was that Christine girl in the bathtub jacuzzi. We're the most trusted name in water. What the hell does that mean? We're the most trusted name in water. Like, what do you mean, like jacuzzi? Yeah, I'm going to drink some jacuzzi water. Most trusted name, like the Christina Hall, like the makeover girl. I actually like it. She's pretty cute, but like whatever. But like the other day I'm watching a game cam, and like I just heard this girl's voice for like 10 minutes and this like infomercial. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what about I'm like, oh, the game's over. So same thing. The game ended here, the Big East tournament, and it went to TMZ. I just see on the headline here they were talking about the rapper Offset. It says Offset punches security guard at weed shop in L.A. I'm like, what the hell am I watching? So it's the same thing. I'm like, I looked up and it caught my eye though. I was like, what's that? Offset punched weed guy, and then they showed the Madman. I've actually been there. The MedMen by the airport at LAX. Snoop Dogg's one of the owners. And so I was like, oh, what's that? I've actually been there. So I started chuckling about it. And then it crossed my mind, Cam. I'm like, why is it on TMZ? Like, why am I watching TMZ? Then I realized, I'm like, oh, yeah, the Big East game just ended.
Exactly. They usually have after that, too. It's like high crime and whatever, all these with Elizabeth.
They cut into TMZ already in progress.
Yes. You said it. There's another one, too.
TMZ already in progress. Thanks.
Yeah, I know what I've been watching a lot. Like I'm watching those commercials with those girls. Hey man, Blue Chew for your man. You know, it's getting like male enhancement. Like every time like these games end, I'm like, what's up with Blue Chew? Like these guys they're pumping out commercials big time.
I don't know. It's like a poor man's Viagra or something. I think.
Yeah, I guess it's a gummy. I guess I have.
I like the ad. I like the ad where they have a girl. She's like, oh yeah, I even pay for Blue Chew for my man. Makes my life better. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sure this is true. Like, yeah. Like,
yeah, exactly. You paid for it.
I'm sure. I'm sure this is true. Blue Chew. There's all kinds of those ones, man.
You're right. No, the best is because all those games, the Big East stuff is on like these Fox affiliates, and they got the craziest infomercials at the end. Like it's like
as soon as the game's over, they go right to the bottom of the barrel, like right away.
They do.
Plus, I watch a lot of like old, like I watch MeTV and stuff, and
I love me.
They don't exactly have top flight advertisers. You know what I'm saying?
No, like, they don't. They don't at all.
They're staying alive, like they're staying, but like it's a lot of erectile dysfunction. Which, you know what, I don't really understand because I got to be honest with you, even though I am spoken for, but I got to believe a lot of people watching Alfred Hitchcock or Mannix at 3 a.m. don't have girlfriends and don't need Blue Chew.
That's a good call. Like, what do you need your erectile dysfunction?
You should be selling loans and like some sort of scam.
Reverse
Say, get rich now. Hey, are you a loser at home? You want to get rich? Like, you know what I mean? Like Blue Chew, showing a bunch of hot chicks in Blue Chew doesn't help some dude watching Mannix Cam at 2 a.m.
It actually makes him more bitter, saying, "Why didn't I do that later?"
Exactly. He's like, I don't even have a girl to do this with, even if I got that Blue Chew.
So you know that lady down the street? I really wish you had. No, he said,
yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, my life sucks. Exactly. And you start to realize. See these ads? They're depressing.
Yeah.
All right, so F1 is back. Yeah, it's Australia time right now. Geelong Cats are laying 59.5 right now against Fremantle Dockers. One thing I've noticed, there seems to be some points. So, the Australian football rules have started. Follow me on X. I'll post something overnight here. I'll take a look. And the F1 is back, guys, in the morning because they're in Australia, so they're a day ahead. It's confusing me, but it's Saturday instead of Sunday. Lando Norris is the new guy to beat, supposedly. Max Verstappen, looking to become the first driver to win 5 consecutive F1 championships since the great Michael Schumacher. Verstappen was plus 400 earlier in the day. He's plus 275 right now. Lando Norris is the favorite at plus 225. Charles Leclerc is at plus 400. Lewis Hamilton makes his Ferrari debut at 10-1. I think Lando Norris is going to find out now life's hard when you're the favorite. And I am expecting, I don't know, I just call it a gut feel, guys. Something's going to go wrong for Lando in his car. I'm getting Max Verstappen to win a race at plus 275. The only thing is Max doesn't own this track. He hasn't won here since 2023, but I like Max Verstappen to finish in the top 2 at plus 175. I like him to win at plus 275. And I like Charles Leclerc to be in the top 2, plus 175 as well. Cam, who's going to win the golf tournament?
Colin Morikawa, 5-1.
I'll say Rory.
Talk to you later.